The Elgato Prompter is a teleprompter with an attached screen that connects via USB and also functions as a monitor. With the Elgato Prompter, you can read a script while having a screen behind it, or use it as an extra monitor. The Elgato Prompter allows you to maintain eye contact with the camera while on a video conference, talking to your Twitch chat, or reading a script for a presentation or YouTube video. In this video, I'll discuss my experience with the Elgato Prompter so far, with what the prompter is, some of the pros and cons, how it fits into my setup, and if I think it was worth the money I spent purchasing it. At this point, I've had the device for a little less than a month, but before we get into all that, hit the subscribe button. What is a teleprompter? A teleprompter is a device that gives a presenter visual access to the text they need to be reading. Typically, the camera lies on the other side of a piece of beam-slitted glass as it mirrors a screen below, but allows the camera behind the glass to see through and record. As I started making YouTube videos, I have been looking for a good way to either hack or create a teleprompter that would function to be able to read scripts easily while maintaining eye contact. All the options that were out there seemed to be a bit cumbersome with requiring a separate device and software to mirror the text, but then I found the Elgato Prompter by happenstance on the day that it was being released. With that, I ordered one the same day, but it was back ordered as apparently everyone else wanted one as well. The Elgato Prompter connects to the computer via USB 3.0 Type A port and a USB-C port on the side of the prompter. On either PC or Mac, with the Camera Hub software installed, the prompter is able to act as a monitor or teleprompter. It does not require a separate connection to DisplayPort or HDMI or anything else of the sort. The prompter comes with a bunch of different mounting options for different cameras. I'm using it with Instalink 360 webcam, so I have it set up with a universal mount. On Elgato's website, there's a list of webcams and cameras that shows whether they are compatible or not with the prompter. On the bottom of the device, as well as the bottom side of the universal mount, there are tripod screw holes so that it can be easily mounted. If you use the mounting options that are designed for the cameras with attached lenses, like the camera shown on the screen now, the device can simply hang from the lens. The prompter itself isn't too heavy, so it should be fine, but you can also mount it using the mounting holes on the bottom of the device if that has you concerned. I have my Elgato Prompter mounted on flex arms to get it to a position where I want it, and it works well. I'll have a link down in the description below for some of the things I have my setup with the flex arms and the key light. The prompter utilizes Elgato's Camera Hub software to put a script on the screen and to be able to adjust the various settings like the text size, margins, colors, and scrolling speed. You can also pair up a bunch of the settings to a Stream Deck or foot pedal. I personally have a foot pedal, which I pretty much only use to toggle push-to-talk in various multiplayer games, but I set up one of the foot pedal buttons to allow me to play and pause the script. I also have the Stream Deck, which allows me to control certain things on the Stream Deck, such as if it's in display mode or text mode. The Elgato camera software itself is very easy to use, but it still requires some polish. This is unfortunately one of the disadvantages of being an early adopter, but Elgato has a good track history of getting their software working well over time. I would definitely make sure the device and software is something that fits your current needs and buy based on the capabilities that exist and not anything Elgato promises to add in the future. One thing that I wish the software allowed for is the ability to import text scripts from a different app like Word, as right now you have to copy and paste the text into the Camera Hub software. This isn't the end of the world, but having some additional options for importing scripts would be beneficial in my opinion. You can also edit the text straight on the Camera Hub software if you so desire. There has been at least one time when I had to restart the Camera Hub software because it would not toggle between display and text options, but a restart of the software remedied that issue. The beauty of the Elgato Prompter versus some of the other options that seem to be out there was that for the price of $279.99, you got a device that has a built-in screen that is mirrored, so you don't have to connect an iPad or other device like a lot of the other teleprompters out there, and you can use it as a 9-inch 1024 by 600 60Hz monitor otherwise. While 1024 by 600 screen might not seem like a great resolution, the screen itself is only a 9-inch monitor, so it is sufficient for simple things. It's not like you're trying to game on the device, even if you could. If you're using it for a script, you can put the script on a black background with nothing showing behind it, or reduce the opacity and put something up behind the script on the screen so you can monitor yourself recording or whatever else you want behind the script that you're reading. With the camera being mounted behind the prompter, you can maintain good eye contact with the camera while reading. I'm reading this script using the prompter, and while you might be able to see a little bit of eye movement as I scan across the prompter, it still allows me to be looking generally in the direction of the camera. In a different scenario, imagine that you're giving a PowerPoint presentation virtually. You can have your script or slides up on the prompter while maintaining eye contact, or you can have the other participants on the screen so you can easily gauge their engagement with the things you're saying or presenting. You can also have your live stream chat displayed on the prompter so that when you read a comment from your audience, you can be making eye contact, increasing that parasocial relationship that your audience craves. Another thing to note about the prompter, I originally had a bright wallpaper behind the prompter, and I noticed that if you have a bright wallpaper or background on the prompter, a lot more light will be reflected and you'll be able to notice it in the recording. The camera sits behind the mirror, and so it's not impervious to the things being displayed on the screen. Here's an example of the camera with a light-colored bright screen behind. I changed the prompter monitor itself to be a dark wallpaper, and this problem disappeared. But this is something that you need to be aware of if you set it up and the camera picture ends up looking weird depending on how you plan on using the device. The Elgato Prompter definitely fit a want/need that I had with my content creation. And if any of the things talked about seem to be useful to you, then the prompter may be something you might consider. At $280, it is definitely not a cheap device, but if it is something that fits your use case, it can definitely make a difference and easily worth that amount. If you're a content creator, you should at least consider if this device fits into your workflow and if it is something worth it for you. I think Elgato did a great job finding a need from content creators and creating a device that is able to meet the demands that other teleprompter solutions fell short. Based on my experience so far, if a teleprompter in general is something that you are wanting, I would definitely recommend the Elgato Prompter. If you have any questions about this device, leave them down in the comments below and consider subscribing.